this is rehearsal, and until we get it right, and we're going to get it right at the millennium. And for now, we just do the best we can. And yes, I am tired. Still worked most of the days. Of course, not to this evening. The last great day is a Shabbat. Make sure you have your Shabbat, your celebration meal. Make sure you give your gift offering. I'll be glad to accept a gift offering for Yahweh, for Christians, to help out the ministry. And just do the best you can. Do not chastise your brother who may be keeping it a month later, because none of us can properly keep the Kodesh Moedim in a foreign land. And none of us can properly keep the Kodesh Moedim when we are not a nation, of which we are not. Sukkot is supposed to be a time of Qadah, joy and celebration. Celebrate. Hallelujah. This world celebrates every Friday night and Saturday night, party and everything. We need to celebrate and rejoice. Rejoice. It also symbolizes the restoration of Yahweh's kingdom. This is Yahweh Shua is a king who never ruled, and he will rule. He must reign, and Sukkot ushers in that time. Leviticus 23:40. And you will take for yourselves on the first day of the fruit of beautiful trees, branches of palm trees, the boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and you will rejoice before Yahweh your mighty one for 7 days. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. I ain't going back to trying to blow that shofar. I tell you, it wears me out. But I'm getting better with it. John 7:37-39. On the last day, that great day of the feast that's coming in at sunset will begin the 8th day. Yahweh Shua, he cried out, "He who thirsts, come unto me and drink. And if you believe on me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water." That brings me to the idea of Revelations 21. Talk about that river that comes from under the temple and goes in 4 ways, and it's for eternal life. Remember, you're not saved by blood. You need to be forgiven, but then the blood cleanses you. So Yahweh Shua cried out to everyone at sunset, leading to the 8th day, and let the whole world be known that he was the living water. It was him. He did that on Sukkot. John 8:12. Then Yahweh Shua spoke to them again, saying, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life of men." So he is the light of men, and those who haven't eaten here are celebrating Sukkot at this time. Yes, they are. They're not playing around and getting ready for work the next day. They know that Shabbat is coming, and they are preparing. A great old Nabi once told me, he said it many times, we are living now to live again. That's what we're doing. You're living now to live again. This is not meat for the bellies and belly for meat. Eat, drink today, for tomorrow we die. And eat, drink, and be merry. No, we are living now to live again. You know, the Passover, the classic Passover song that our forefathers sang was Psalm 118. Read Psalm 118. I'm going to briefly go over it here now, but read Psalm 118, particularly during this time. This is a tabernacle psalm, and this is what the Israelites sang when they celebrated it. Psalm 118, I'm going to just read some of the verses. His Hasid endures olam, and all throughout the psalm, that line resonates throughout the psalm. His mercy endures forever. His mercy endures forever. And it goes on. Trust Yahweh over man. All nations surrounded me. I destroyed them. The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tents of the Sadiq. So the voice of rejoicing is in the tents of the Sadiq. That's what I'm doing here now. I'm sure people out here can hear me. I've been loud enough, and there's nothing else competing with my celebration right now. But the world should hear the Sadiq rejoicing in their tents. Yahweh chastens, but not to death. And that goes against your false preachers who say we will not go through tribulation. He says right here, Yahweh will chasten us, but not to death. Open the gates of Yah for the Sadiq. The rejected stone is the chief cornerstone. They're rejecting you because they rejected Yahweh Shua, and you follow Yahweh Shua. So they're going to reject you. You're going to look weird and standing out in your Sukkot. So be it. So what? Do not be ashamed of Yahweh, lest he be ashamed of you before his Father. This is the day Yahweh has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. That's in verse 24. So we got verse 15 saying rejoice, verse 24 saying rejoice. Send prosperity. We all want prosperity. We don't want to go through the part of being humiliated and humbled. Verse 26, Barak is he who comes in the shame of Yahweh. The Hebrew word for name is shame. And don't be ashamed of the name of Yahweh. We have blessed you from the Bayat of Yah. Bind the sacrifice. Remember, that third temple will be built. So this, remember, we talked about the seals. That sixth seal earthquake is what's going to shake the whole world. It's going to rock everything. There will be the revolution will not be televised. And at that time, the whole world will be back on one time clock. We'll be on a 12-month, 30-day month calendar for the first time since probably the time of Peleg. Now, we talked about this festival. It is a festival, and it is solemn at the end when Yahweh Shua does not return. But we do know at one point he will return. From the foundation of the world, Yahweh declares the end from the beginning. Isaiah 12, and in that day you will say, O Yahweh, I will praise you. Though you were angry with me, your anger is turned away, and you comfort me. Look, Eloah is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid, because Yahweh is my strength. And song, sing. I was singing before I started recording. I was in this tent singing, praising Yahweh. Yahweh is your song. He also has become my salvation. Therefore, with Qadar is joy, you will draw water from the wells of salvation. See, you are saved by the water, the wells of salvation. You're not saved by the blood. And in that day you will say, Hallelujah. Call upon his name, and I'm in this tent calling upon the name of Yahweh. Declare his deeds among the people. Declare it among everyone out there. Make mention that his name is exalted. Sing. Once again, sing. And I was singing before. I was wearing myself out here, and before I blew that shofar. Sing to Yahweh, because he has done excellent things. This is known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, O inhabitants of Zion, because great is the Kodesh one of Israel in your midst. In your midst, Yahweh is going to tabernacle in our midst. Interesting, Isaiah 12 says, Yahweh. This is one of only 3 scriptures, even in the King James Version, where Yahweh's name is actually in the Bible. Isaiah 12, it says Yah, and then it says Lord, but his name is in even the King James Bible. It says Yah, and this is one of those 3 instances where his name is in here. Now, traditionally, the Cohen used golden pots to draw water from the pool of Siloam. And Siloam means waters of salvation. This celebration took place in the courtyard of the outer temple. Yahweh Shua is the ruddy heifer. Remember, the ruddy heifer was used when running waters was run over the ashes of the ruddy heifer, and that was used to heal the people. This is why when Israel was keeping the Torah and the covenant of Yahweh, there was no sick people in all of the land of Israel. It's only when they stopped obeying Yahweh that they start getting sick. So Yahweh Shua is the ruddy heifer. This is a doctrine I've been trying to teach for the last several years that I'm not hearing any of our Hebrew leaders even talking about. So this living waters is important. When we were celebrating the tabernacles, the people shouted, Mayin Chaim, Mayin Chaim. That means living waters, living waters, living waters. That's how Yahweh Shua says, I am the living waters. And he shouted it out when they finished shouting out, Mayin Chaim, Mayin Chaim. This is touching. If you really think about that, you get chill bumps on your head. Yahweh Shua, for those who like to say the law is done away with, then why was Yahweh Shua celebrating tabernacles at the temple? He was there, and when they shouted that, when they finished, he pronounced that he was the living waters they were shouting for. That's a beautiful thing. That's beautiful. So, also the Cohen will pour water and wine into the bowls of the altar, because remember, out of Yahweh Shua's side came water and blood. So the wine is part of the covenant. They pour that on the horns of the altar. Okay? And then there was like a hoopah put over the altar. You know, the hoopah is where the bride and the groom go in and ratify the covenant of the marriage. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. This is for this time. This time right here, Yahweh says, come unto the hoopah with me on the altar. Sacrifice to me, and that is the ratification of the covenant between us and Yahweh, who wants to be in our midst. That's a beautiful thing. It's a marriage. This is a beautiful feast, Israel, a beautiful feast. Then they had the water libation ritual, and it goes on. You can just do your research on this feast day, and I think you'll take it more seriously. I'm learning more and more. I'm going to take this even more seriously. Yahweh willing, next year I want to have the bowls and then walk about outside and wave the bowls and enjoy this time. Joel 2:28 and 29. And it will come to pass afterward that I will pour out my ruach on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. And also on my men servants and on my maid servants, I will pour out my ruach in those days. In these days, that's when it's going to happen. And we know that those who claim to be Yehuda and are not, because none of these things are going on right now. These things happen after Israel is gathered together as a nation. And if they're not happening now, that means those who are gathered together in Israel right now must not be the chosen ones. If they were, then we would be right now having a worldwide celebration. And we're not having that. You're still having wars and blood being spilled down the streets. There's no Messiah in the temple. There's no sacrifices being made in the temple. After the last great day, these things will happen. If they have not happened yet, that means that Yahweh's true people have not gathered together yet. He did say, in that day, then they will know that it was you that I loved. So, we know that there's a lot of competing elements today, even in the name of Yahweh, because it is being accepted now. It is nothing new to talk about Yahweh. When you talk about his name, it is known already. The name that they don't know is Yahweh Shua. And that's what this ministry is trying so hard to put out there. But the name of Yahweh is received. You got Jews for Jesus. You got the Sacred Name movement. You got the Messianic movement. You got the Torah movement. You got the Ephraim Rising. You got Black Hebrew Israelites. And then you have the true Hebrews, such as myself, who do not leaven the name, who keep Shabbat, keep the feast days, and live by the Torah, but we do not leaven the name. All those other groups leaven the name. They use the name Yesha or Yeshua instead of Yahshua. And more accurately, the name is Yahweh Shua. But Yahshua is okay. Yeshua is not. It's no different than calling my daughter Tuna when her name is Tina. That little sound makes a big difference. Would you call a man whose name is Murray, would you call him Mary? No, you wouldn't. It's a little bit of a difference, but one is a male's name and the other is a female's name. The Messiah's name is Yahshua, not Yeshua. More accurately is Yahweh, which is why I use Yahweh, because then you have no doubt in at all. Your ears are hearing the sacred Kodesh name of the Son. So, this, and like I said, I knew I was not going to finish this all last week, but this is a good time to do so. So, today there is great difficulty in really celebrating all of the feasts. We're not in the Kodesh land. We're in the land of captivity. We're not speaking the Kodesh language. We're speaking the language of slavery. And we do not have an accurate time clock. The world is on, we cannot accurately keep the time. Even though we look at the moon and watch the moon, we cannot be absolutely accurate. So we do the best that we can. Deuteronomy. Now, remember I suggested to you to read all of the book of Deuteronomy. Read 5 to 6 chapters a day, and then by the time you end on the last great day, you should be finished. I have I think 4 chapters left, maybe 5. I think I have 4 chapters left, and then I will be finished reading it. It is the second reading or giving of the law. It's one of the most beautiful books in all of the so-called Bible. Read it. I'm going to briefly go through it here. I'm going to just read from chapter 12, verse 5 and 8 through part of 11, 13, and 14. You will seek the place where Yahweh your mighty one chooses out of all your tribes to put his name for his living place. And there you will go. You will not at all do as we are doing here today, every man doing whatever is right in his own eyes. Because as yet you have not come to rest in the inheritance which Yahweh your mighty one is giving you. But when you cross over the Jordan and live in the land which Yahweh your mighty one is giving you to inherit, and he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you live in safety, then there will be the place where Yahweh your mighty one chooses to make his name abide. There you will bring all that I command you. Take heed. So he says, take heed to yourself that you do not offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see, but in the place where Yahweh chooses, in one of your tribes, there you will offer your burnt offerings, and there you will eat, you will do all that I command you. So we are doing every man according to his own eyes right now, which Yahweh says do not do. But we have to do that because we're not in the Kodesh land. We need to cross over. Like that's what Ibarit means, to cross over. We're doing the best we can. Do not chastise your brother, your sister for keeping these days on a day that you don't keep it on. All of us are wrong. We're doing the best we can. We are rehearsing. Make sure your oil lamps are full and trimmed, and that you're waiting. In your patience possess ye your souls. Always be ready. So Yahweh chooses the place, and it is Israel. It's not America or anywhere else. His eyes are always on Israel. It is special to him, and for his reasons, and he knows why. So, Deuteronomy 14. Let's go to Deuteronomy 14, read verses 24 through 26. But if the journey is too long for you, so that you are not able to carry the tithe, or if the place where Yahweh your mighty one chooses to put his name is too far from you, when Yahweh your mighty one has blessed you, then you will exchange it for money. Take the money in your hand and go to the place which Yahweh your mighty one chooses, and you will spend that money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen or sheep, for wine or similar drink, for whatever your heart desires. You will eat there before Yahweh your mighty one, and will rejoice, you and your household. So even if journey is too far, you're supposed to use money to still worship and celebrate the feast days in the Kodesh land, in the bed of Yahweh. He puts his name. He didn't put his name anywhere else. His name is not in Germany, Italy, Spain, America, Canada, France, Russia, China, Korea. It's nowhere else. It's in Yisrael. So I just wanted to have this just brief celebration with you, And just realize that the Feast of Trumpets, it is a celebration originally at the end of the harvest time. This is the last harvest. This is the second rain, the end of the harvest. Of course, we are living in cities and we're not harvesting anything. It's been decades since I've grown food to eat in my backyard. And it's a foreshadowing of Yahweh Shua as the Messiah, as the king. He never played the role or conducted himself in the role of king. Dawid will be in that office at the millennial age. Zechariah 14:16, he says that all of our enemies around us will be squashed. Those who remain of all our enemies around us will come year to year to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. They're going to do the other ones too, but specifically the Feast of Tabernacles from all over the world. They don't come, they get no rain. Anybody found, and anybody being found will be thrust through who are not celebrating it. So this feast, it ushers in the millennium. The last great day of the Feast of Tabernacles ushers in the eternal age. Revelations 21:1-3, the New Jerusalem comes down like a bride adorned for her husband. Yahweh, it says, Yachanan says, behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men. Yahweh desires to be in the midst of his people. This is beautiful. I tell you, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I'm going to do this. It'll be a little bit longer Sunday when I'm going to finish this up on the broadcast. But and this is beautiful. Revelation 22:1-5 talks about the river. It's one water source. Israel today has one fresh water source, and that one source is Yahweh Shua, and he's going to send his 4 streams out to the 4 corners of the earth, and the leaves are for the healing. Anybody who drinks, who wants to live eternally, will do so. And I found out something today. Something today that Tishri, the 7th month, the 15th day, is the day that our Yahweh Shua HaMashiach was born. That's the day he was born. So, even though I'm tired, I'm going to try it again. One more time. Wake up, neighborhood. This is the last great day coming upon us. Yahonatan we here, Yahweh for Christians at gmail.com. I'm not finished celebrating. I'm going to spend some more time here because it's still not sunset yet. So I'm going to spend some more time in here before I go in and dine with a wonderful feast with my wife. I love you all, Yisrael. Shalom, shalom.